Welcome, Hauties. It is official. We are on episode 1 of our brand new podcast. My name is Amy Kerley. Welcome to the Hautie Hustle. And this is officially episode 1 of our very first podcast ever. This has been so long in the making, a bucket list of mine. I couldn't be more excited to have you guys here. And we're going to dive right into it today because I feel like every good storyteller, when you're trying to vet whether or not you want to listen to someone, the best place to kind of always start is to find out if you resonate with them, if you connect with them, if you can find a sisterhood or a bond, something that really makes you identify with the person that you want to be coached from. And so I think to do that, sometimes we just have to start from the very beginning. And that's what I'm planning on doing today. So this episode, in episode 1, is really just about my story, how I became an 11-year veteran of the retail apparel industry, why I ended up in this day today, wanting to do a podcast, how I got here. We're going to talk about the twists and turns, the fails, the successes, things that I've learned, tricks of the trade, so that I can really help you guys be successful as well. And I'm going to take you through this basically masterclass series through podcast of all of the things that I did wrong so that you don't have to. And I'm so excited to get that started. Hey y'all, my name is Amy Kerley and I'm your resident Hautie. I'm a veteran in the retail apparel industry with a brick and mortar location, a wholesale apparel line, a monthly subscription box, and event rental spaces. During my 11 years in this industry, I have accumulated a wealth of firsthand experiences and a growing list of what to do and what not to do when running a small business. I may not be a millionaire or in the Fortune 500, but I have learned to gross millions of dollars in sales by using a combination of old faithful sales tactics, tricks of the trade, and diversifying my platform into experiential retail. I'm just your average girl next door, but if you hang with me and get ready to take action on your passion, I can help you go from hesitant to haughty in your own entrepreneurship journey. This is the Hautie Hustle. So let's just dive right into it, guys. Let's start from the very beginning. So I had always been raised in an entrepreneurial household. My father has been a small business owner since I can remember. My mom worked outside of the home full-time from when I was early middle school all the way to today. She's still working. And my family is extremely hard workers. We were voluntold a lot of times to be a lot of places. And that is really where I learned the value of earning something and working for what you have rather than it being gifted or given to you. And so I truly, before I even get started in this, I really just want to give a shout out to my parents for instilling in me the desire and the urge and the passion and to really go for your dreams and what you believe in. So that was instilled in me and both of my brothers from a very, very young age. And I always knew I wanted to own my own business. I can vividly remember in high school, my senior year, you could do career workshops. And I remember actually picking news broadcasting, which, flash forward to today, here I am with a podcast. But I remember picking news broadcasting and I remember thinking specifically, I have no idea what I want to do when I grow up. I could not pinpoint. I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a professional athlete. I loved singing, but didn't want to be a musician. I didn't want to necessarily be investing in a ton more schooling. I wanted to get through my bachelor's. I wanted to work while I was in college. So I did all of my college schooling through University of Phoenix online. But I just remember in high school feeling like I didn't have that. This is what I want to be when I grow up. And flash forward to today, I really feel like it's because I always knew I was going to be working for myself in some capacity. And, to tell your 18-year-old self that then probably wouldn't believe it. But I truly feel like at a young age, I kind of knew this would be some type of the path that I would be down. Now, I didn't know it would take me until my mid to late 20s after having children to decide that that's what I wanted to do, but that is where my journey led me. So I had my first daughter, Layton, in 2012. And once I had her, I initially wanted boys, if I'm being completely honest. My husband is a basketball coach, and I wanted him to have boys so badly. But God gifted us two beautiful girls, and we couldn't be more thrilled with them. But I remember having her. And my mom and I's tradition on Saturday mornings was always boutique shopping. And I think that's where my love for having a retail boutique clothing store started. We would get up early Saturday morning. We would hit all of the boutiques. We would go shopping. That is what we did every single Saturday from the time that I was probably 11 or 12 and started having a love for fashion. Even to this day, we get up and go shopping together on the weekends if we can, and we're both available. So I knew back then that I loved fashion. I loved apparel. Now, when you become a mom, and especially when you have a little girl, dressing her becomes a sport in itself. And when I had Layton in 2012, I'm from Round Rock, Texas. At that time, they were experiencing a nationwide baby boom. And this was kind of, if you live in Round Rock now, they get ranked, the city gets ranked all the time. Number 5 best place to live in the nation. Number 1 best place to live in the nation. And there's a lot of reasons why, but this is where I grew up. I have been here my entire life. And gone to school here. And so in 2012 is kind of really when this started, because my millennial generation, I'm class of 2004, really from that age group forward started to not only graduate school here, but we wanted to stay here and raise our families here. And so because of that, naturally, we started to experience a population increase and a baby boom. Such a large baby boom that Huggies, like the diaper brand, actually ended up coming to Round Rock and filming Huggies commercials because residents in this community were going through diapers like crazy. So it was a good time to be a mom because there were so many other women going through what I was going through. And I realized I loved shopping for Layton. I loved dressing her up. I loved getting her cute outfits. I loved doing all the matchy things with the big bows. But I was a young mom. I was 26 and I couldn't always afford, my husband and I couldn't always afford what we wanted to put Layton in. And so many times we would have to call in reinforcements, aka Gigi, in order to come in and take us shopping on those Saturdays. But I remember my love for dressing her started with a children's clothing boutique that was over by IKEA in Round Rock called Ginger Snaps Kids. And I would have to take Gigi with me to go to Ginger Snaps Kids because I couldn't afford it on my own. Outfits ranged anywhere from, $40 on the low end to upwards of $80, $100. But they were, y'all, chef's kiss, the most couture children's baby apparel items. Girl, Layton was looking good. She was dressed to the nines all the time. I didn't care if she was spitting up on it, getting it dirty. It didn't matter. She was just the cutest and I loved going there. And so, of course, over time, as you go every Saturday, you start to build relationships with the places that you shop. And I started to form a relationship with the owner, Kim, and she and I were friendly. We didn't know each other personally, but we were friendly. She would speak. She definitely knew who we were. She knew when Amy and Sherry were coming in, there was going to be a good sale typically following that visit. And I just found a love for dressing Layton. Now, outside of Ginger Snaps Kids, there really wasn't a whole lot to shop for unless you're going to go to Target, go to Carter's. So couple the lack of shopping availability with the baby boom happening in this town. And it was the perfect set of circumstances to have a business idea be born. And I know you hear it all the time. I'm going to say it again because it's true. Every good business solves a problem. And so for me, this was a great problem solving opportunity. We needed kids' clothes. We couldn't always afford to pay $80 an outfit. And there was born a need for a business. And so I literally remember sitting there. We started the business October 1st of 2012. So Leighton was just right at about 5 or 6 months old. And not even that, maybe. And I remember thinking, okay, it has to be something catchy. People have to remember the name. It has to be easy for them to, recognize us. And I love play on words. I love play on words. I love acronyms. I love all of that. I don't know why. I just always have. And so I wanted to use the word hot, but I couldn't figure out how I wanted those two together. And so my mom goes, what about hot tots? And I was like, OMFing, that is the cutest thing I've ever heard. Who does not want their baby to be a hot tot? I want my baby to be a hot tot. So that is where the idea was born. We started the business October 1st of 2012. And we started, y'all, literally from the ground up with nothing. I was working for my dad full time still. He owns a sports construction business, still does to this day. And I needed this to be a side hustle. I needed extra income. We were a young family. We were trying to build a new home. And so I again, went back to what my parents taught me, which was you absolutely start from ground zero and you work and you earn everything that you have because it will not be handed to you. And that is exactly what I did. So I started registering for every Round Rock Market Days, Georgetown Market Days, craft fairs, pop-up shops. I had people asking me to come to their home at Christmas time. If you were letting me in, I was going. I was tearing up, setting down, lugging clothes, hauling bins. I will never forget the probably third year that I had been doing hot tots. This is probably 2014, 2015, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I was doing Georgetown Market Days in November. It was the last one before the holidays, and it was freezing cold and absolutely raining. And there was hardly anyone out there, but y'all, I stuck it out. And it was awful. It was the worst show I had ever done, but I am so proud of myself. My future self is so proud of myself for sticking through it. But it is a lot of work. And this is one thing you will not get from me is during this podcast series is a sugar-coated version of the truth. I am not going to paint you a pretty picture and not tell you what steps I took to get there and how dirty I got in the process, because that would not be fair to you. I worked my ass off for the better part of 4 years before I even entertained a brick and mortar location. I did, like I said, market days, weekend shows, holiday shows. So from 2012 to 2015, I did that every single weekend on the nights, on the evenings, and stayed a young mom and worked a full-time job, because that's just what you do when you're in the grassroots of your business. It's how you gain credibility. It's how you start to make mistakes and learn for what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And I'm so proud that I did that. So for 3 years, I did nothing but shows and pop-ups. And in 2015, there was an opportunity. Now, number one, downtown Round Rock decided to go under construction, and there was a cute little yellow house right behind Golden Chick that became available, and it was owned by a family that we had gone to church with at First Baptist Church for years. So I reached out. They had a back garage area of 400 square feet. And they said, if you want to put your clothing in here, this is what we'll charge you for a small amount of rent. You could let people come in on the evenings and weekends, or it could just house your inventory until your next show. And I remember going and looking at it. I didn't ask my husband. I didn't ask my mom. I asked no one's opinion. I said, I'll take it. And then I called my husband, and then I called my mother, and I said, I just did a thing. Guess what? I have a location. And they are both very similar animals, very similar creatures. And their initial reaction was like, what the fuck did you just do? Like they were shocked. But hello, I am impulsive. I'm a Scorpio. So I run a lot on passion. And so it was not out of character for me. Let's just say that. And so I did it. I put the deposit down and I moved into the space, and Hot Tots went from an idea to a passion weekend side hustle project to an actual thing, a real thing. And I could only work it Tuesdays and Thursdays. We were open from 3 to 7. My dad graciously let me leave work every Tuesday and Thursday to go set up there. And I did that for almost 2 years. So from 2015 to the end of 2016, we were just open 2 days a week from 3 to 7. People could do drop by shopping, and that was it. And then once I started to get that clientele and really use my skill set, which is relationship selling, being available for people, providing outstanding customer service, things that tend to be forgotten in today's world. I am a very big believer, and even with my staff, I teach them all the time. We still humbly believe the customer is always right. Now, are they always necessarily going to be given what they're asking for? Are we going to always bend over backwards for them? Am I going to let them berate or degrade my staff? Absolutely not. But if we can make something happen for you, damn it, we're going to do it. And that is truly how you gain loyalty. And that is how I built a following. I would go out of my way to deliver things to people or meet them or do rush orders for them and not charge them for it. Anything that you can do to relationship sell, that's how you're really going to start to gain a following and get loyal people. And that's how you start to gain recognition, and sales will just follow that. So we did that through 2 years. And then I started to open Saturdays. And I had a couple high school girls that would come and help me so that I could still do that. I also was pregnant with our second child with Grace and Marie. And so that was a really fun time to be able to have hot tots and offer more kids clothing. And then in 2016, after I had Grayson, and even into 2017, I went through a very dark, low place, emotionally and personally. I was having very bad postpartum depression. I can remember leaving for work crying that I didn't want to be away from Grayson. I felt like my mother-in-law was spending a whole lot more time with my baby than I was. It was very difficult to cope with. So no sugarcoating that. Being a mom and also being a small business owner is not for the faint of heart. And I have learned now in my 30s that having a home and work balance is the number one most important thing that you can find if you want to continue to be successful and have longevity in whatever space that you're in. So, by 2016 and 17, I had both girls. We were open during the week, and it was really, really going well. And then in 2018, the very first part of 2018, this is where I got my full circle moment. And I got a phone call from Kim, who owned Ginger Snaps Kids. And she said, listen, I am just ready to be done. My kids are no longer in the age group that fits this lifestyle, these clothes. They don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I'm ready to move on to a new season, which we talk about a lot, a new season in my life. And how would you feel about owning Ginger Snaps? And what a crazy ass full circle moment that the whole inspiration and reason behind me wanting to start my own business, from seeing and being around Ginger Snaps Kids. Now here, 6 years later, 7 years later, 8 years later, from 2012 to 2018. So it's that 6 years. Here we are, and the owner of that business is asking and entrusting me to take it over. And so we did. It was very exciting. It was so much fun. We announced that to our current customers. We had a second then brick and mortar retail location in downtown Georgetown, Texas, because during that 6-year span, Ginger Snaps had moved from Round Rock over to downtown Georgetown, and I was living my best life. I Truly, I was so excited. It was everything that I wanted. I couldn't believe all of this was being handed to me. We had, this separation of brands. Then at that time, we split off all of the kids' items and put it at Ginger Snaps, lost the Tots from our Hot Tots name, and just stuck with Hot Boutique, really expanded more into women's clothing and apparel, and everything was going amazingly. You guys probably remember about this time, Facebook Live started to come out. And so about the time Facebook Live came out, this product called Lip Sense came out, and these products called Yeti and Arctic came out. And it was the perfect storm of products that, again, solved a problem because nobody in our area was stocking them or carrying them. And so Hot became known for the better part of 3 years as the cup store. And we were able to really streamline, what's happening in the kids world stayed at Ginger Snaps. What's happening at Hot was a lot more of the trendy items, the lip scents, the cups, the women's clothing, the apparel, the accessories. And we had these two great thriving brands. And it was going great. And then, flash forward to 2019. I get another phone call, ironically, from another Kim. I don't know what it is about me and Kims. They're just attracted to Amy's. I don't know what to tell you. But I got another phone call from a lady named Kim, and she owned a very cute thrift shop is probably the best way to explain it, but it was called the Dowdy House, and it was in downtown Round Rock. It had been there for many years, but she also was an insurance agent and had the boutique in the front and was just wanting to do insurance and didn't really have a passion for the boutique side anymore. She didn't live in town. She lived outside of town and was having to commute back and forth. It just wasn't working for her. It was, again, a season thing. It wasn't the right season in her life. And so we negotiated a deal to take over the Dowdy House. And in 2019, we launched our third retail location called the Mercantile on Main. So now here I am, 3 separate brick and mortar locations. I've got home decor, I've got women's apparel and accessories, I've got kids apparel, and life is good. In October of 2019, I even secured a 5,000 square foot warehouse that I was able to share and split with my dad so that I could bring him back and we could be together since I had to leave his business to be able to do this job full time. And so that was amazing. So October of 2019, we added on the warehouse, which many of you, if you're local, you have seen that. And then guess what, friends? In 2020, the entire world shut down. And so here I am with 3 separate brick and mortar retail locations. I, at this time, have 18 staff members, 18, between my full-time and part-time gals. And we had no way to continue to keep everybody employed. And so I can remember literally calling to, I think it's the Williamson County office, but I called them and I said, what do I do? What do I do? How in the world am I going to keep these women employed and paid, and our businesses still earning income when the entire freaking world is shut down? And the sweet lady said, well, honey, do you sell PPE? And I said, what the fuck is PPE? Personal protection or protective, I can't remember which one it is, equipment. And I said, I don't even know what you're saying to me right now. What even is that? She said, well, honey, if you can sell PPE, you can stay open. And that's all it took. Again, an opportunity to fill a need, to solve a problem so that my business could stay intact. And so I started literally Googling PPE. What qualifies as PPE? Masks, hand sanitizer, gloves. I'm like, okay, I can do it. I can sell all of these things and solve the problem. So I called literally our clothing manufacturers in LA. And I said, listen, I love all the beautiful patterns that you have for all of our tops and dresses and all the things. I need you to take that and make me face masks. And that's how I can stay in business. And they were like, okay, so y'all, when I tell you Maskgate 2020 was a thing, we sold over 5,000 face masks in a matter of 6 months. Not only was I able to keep my employees working, but I was able to actually adapt and change my business model to offer and found my own delivery service. I now, to this day, have delivered over 13,000 packages with my own delivery service. And so what I would say to you is, just because you're presented a series of obstacles or a challenge or a roadblock or whatever you think might deter you from being able to operate or function, or maybe it's even just getting off the ground, you're struggling with just taking the leap to start your business. If we were able to do it and survive with the entire world shut down, and not only, friends, did we stay open, we grew. We grew 30% during COVID when the rest of the world was shutting down, because we found a way to adapt. We found an opportunity to solve a problem, and we filled a need. And that is priceless. I don't care what your business model is. It should do two things. It should solve a need and create a community. And if you aren't doing those two things in whatever it is that your business is, even if you're not trying to be an entrepreneur, you're just trying to survive in your career, being a mom, being a wife, being a good boss at work, whatever that is, your goal should always be to solve a problem or fill a need and create a sense of community. And my friends, you will never be without customers or supporters or clients or whatever you're looking for. Okay. I promise you will never be without it. So during 2020, we completely changed our business model. And today in 2023, it looks a little bit different. We had to shut down all 3 of our retail locations. Our growth, our 30% sales increase did not come from having additional brick and mortars, because we couldn't operate them. We weren't legally allowed to be there. It came from diversifying and finding the new need of what our customers wanted and how we could get the information or our product to them. It came through social selling. It came through live stream selling. It came through emails, text messages, whatever we could do to reach them. We took our delivery team, literally masked and gloved them up, and would deliver packages to people's porch, similar to like the DoorDash situation and the restaurants that were doing it. And collectively, we found a way to survive. Not only that, but we ended up also pioneering this amazing program that I am so proud of today called Booster Boutique, where we were able to identify a need in the community where, if I'm not only going to help myself, but how can I also help others adapt and find a way to survive as well, so we can all make it. And so what we would do is offer nonprofits, 501c3s, charities, local booster clubs and high schools, whatever the case may be. If you had a good cause and you needed some help, we were here for you. We would go live, donate proceeds back to them, incorporate the kids so they could come on live, so that there was a way to see people, interact with them, find some sense of community in a time when you had none at all. And so today, to this day, Booster Boutique has donated over $25,000 since 2020. That is a huge amount of money in a short amount of time, through being able to solve this problem and fill a gap and fill the void in our community, which was to be able to raise money, get these kids to raise money, to be able to have their programs survive. And so, our 3 retail brick and mortar stores went down to 1. Because I looked around at my staff and I said, listen, we have to change. We have to adapt, and we have to turn up our soil, and our seasons are changing. And I need all of you to decide, are you in? Can you be on board with me? Not one of them said no, not one of them. And I'm so proud of them for that. And I'm so proud of what we were able to accomplish and how we were able to stay alive during COVID and still keep that sense of community for so many women that they're still a part of today. Our subscription box was born from this. We reached an all-time high number of subscribers because we were able to get them their products remotely and mobily and through shipping and porch delivery and all the things. And so it's really, really, really a testimony to how you can really survive anything if you're just willing to adapt, step outside your comfort zone, and be willing to turn up your soil a little bit and not be afraid of what lies on the other end of that, because that's what was the scary part for me, is the unknown. But in 2023 today, how we got here, is an amazing journey. I will say one of the biggest takeaways that I've had from this, and a future episode will be all about how more and bigger is not always better. And my 2023 11-year veteran self, to get here today would tell you that every time we added another retail location, I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I felt and I found a sense of validation and a sense of it made me a higher level, or it added a notch in my belt. And really, friends, all it did is, with larger income streams and more responsibility comes more expenses, more time, more stress, more management. So it is not always a good thing. I literally wrote down as something I wanted to say in this podcast episode, being busy is not a flex. And I want to say that again. Being busy is not a flex. And that was a huge wake-up call for me. We've all done it. I know you've done it. You see people you run into on the weekends. You go to your kids' school for drop-off. The teachers or whoever you see, you run into, they say, "Oh, how are you?" What's the first thing you say? If you're like me, "Oh my gosh, I'm so busy." Well, that doesn't tell me anything about you as an entrepreneur. It actually tells me way more than what you think it does, because if you're so busy that you feel like you have to tell people that you're busy, it means one of two things. Either A, you're not busy at all and you're fucking making shit up, or B, you are a poor time manager. One of those two. For me, it was the time management. I truly was busy with all of those retail locations and juggling all the things. It was a reflection on my inability to manage it. And so one of the things, now 11 years later, and I mentioned this earlier, but finding the home and work balance is so key and so instrumental. It's one of the things that we're going to talk a lot about during this masterclass and podcast series, is how do you do that? What are some tricks that you can incorporate into your daily routine? But being busy is not a flex, y'all. It's not. Slow down, evaluate quality over quantity. And sometimes when you strip away all the minutia and all of the glitter and, it's like at the end of the day when you take your makeup off, it's exposing the raw and it's exposing the real. And that's what I needed to do. I needed to strip away all of the outside distractions, all of the things that I thought I was using to keep myself busy, because really I was doing things that I knew I could quickly check off my list, because you'll learn this about me. I'm a list maker, but I will skip. Truly, it's something I still work on today. I will skip through my list and go to the things that I know I can check off quickly, rather than dealing with the things that I know will benefit me the most. Why do we do that? Why? It's because we are afraid of either what it's going to uncover or what might be exposed in ourselves when we do that. And it's uncomfortable. Sometimes tackling those bigger things on your to-do list are just fucking uncomfortable and nobody wants to deal with it. And I am in that same, I think we're all in that same, but I don't care what level of entrepreneur or business owner you are. Everybody has their level of uncomfortable and an inner fear of dealing with whatever it is you don't want to deal with. But at the end of the day, guys, being busy is just a distraction, and it's a way that we take away from not being able to strip ourselves down and exposing what really needs to be worked on. And for me, it exposed a lot of holes. Running 3 locations is not an easy feat at all. There was holes in my processes and my systems. There was a lack of staff training that all at the end of the day, you as the business owner, guess who that falls to? It falls to you. The speed of the leader determines the speed of the pack. So I am only as good as my weakest employee. I'm going to say that again. You are only as good as your weakest employee. So if you have somebody on your team and you're complaining about them all the time and you're having to do busy work all the time to make up for what they're not doing, which is making you more busy, guess what, homie? That's not a reflection on them. That's a reflection on you. That is poor management and that is poor leadership. And if you would just take 5 seconds and invest it into training your people, you wouldn't have to worry about being so busy because that's something they could probably take off of your plate. And again, that's something I had to learn the very hard way. That's an 11-year veteran takeaway right there. So save you a bunch of time in all of that. But it led me to where I am today. I don't regret any of the things that I've gone through over that 11-year span. And really, guys, I just wanted you to understand where I'm coming from so that as we get into all of the deeper episodes that we're going to talk about and honing in on levels of expertise, and maybe that's customer service and building a audience. Maybe that's branding yourself, because one of the things that we're really going to talk about a lot here is how you build a brand, not just a company. They are 2 very different things. Maybe that is time management. Maybe it's administrative work. Maybe it is just setting up truly a business. What do you do and what steps do you take? Maybe it's social media. All of those things, I have been there, I have done them, and I'm going to help you. I say this in my intro, I'm not a millionaire. I don't claim to be a millionaire. I don't claim to know it all. And I certainly am not the best. There are boutiques and retailers out there that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times my size, right? And that's great for them. But I'm real. And I represent a mom, a wife, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a confidant. I'm your girl next door who figured it out, and I can help you figure it out and have and live the life you want without compromising or sacrificing all of the other shit that people tell you you have to do. You don't. You can have it all. You can do it all. And if you want just a little piece of that small pie, that's what I'm here to help you with. So I really, really appreciate you guys listening. This is, again, episode number 1 of the Hautie Hustle. There is going to be so much more to come from this. I cannot wait. Make sure you guys subscribe. Go to hautiehustle.com, and we will be uploading membership opportunities for you guys very soon. I cannot wait to launch that, where we will be having truly a private Facebook group by invitation only. I will be going live. You're going to get one-on-one training with me, printable workshops, and workbooks that you can do on your own, tips and tricks, social media templates. I'm going to do all the hard work for you so you don't have to. And I truly hope this has been helpful as step 1 on both of our journey together here at the Hautie Hustle. Love you guys.